Hello, everyone. Good to see you guys. And as we move forward to week three of selling and keeping our core focus there, we've got a little bit to cover here tonight. I've not been feeling well, so we'll still have a lot of fun, but I'm not going to be certainly jumping out of my seat or have you jumping out of my seat. I think Charles is the guy that will get you out of your seat, or he'll jump out of his, or together you guys can do it. Um, I am, as soon as we're done, I'm going to finish a few things and get right to sleep. So that being said, I wanted to first of all welcome you guys to tonight's webinar. It's been special as we close out the year to cover this process of selling. Charles, you know, the challenge for internet marketers or anybody, people in home business in general, one of the greatest struggles is selling, but yet they're duped. Most people are duped into thinking their problem is something not related to selling, that maybe it's traffic or leads. Then when they get those two things, they're still not making money and they're confused. And selling is the most essential, one of the most essential skill sets you can gain as a marketer. So, Charles, you know, it's a problem, man. And you've seen it in your travels and the things you're doing. It's a challenge that can be addressed, but most really would rather spit money at it, like people trying to pay to go to heaven. You know, put more money in the plate, thinking that'll do it. I've seen it. I see it every day. More traffic, 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 traffic. SEO, SEO, SEO. Those aren't bad things, but to have them without the ability to sell will get you more traffic, and your wallet will unfortunately look the same. So, if you're here and you can hear us okay tonight, type in the number one while you're doing that, Charles. How you doing tonight? And just how important is this stuff on selling, and how often are people duped by the belief of needing everything else but selling?
Oh, it is vital, and it's the thing we spend the least time talking about. And I think probably everybody in this call, Dwayne, would have to agree. As an internet marketer in internet marketing products they buy, it is the thing we spend the least time talking about, which is how to get people to actually buy. Once you get them to the page, what do you say to them? How do you persuade them? How do you entice them? How do you get them ready? How do you build a relationship so that people will eventually buy from you? None of that is the kind of thing that we talk about. We talk about everything else. So this is where I think the rubber meets the road.
You know, I couldn't agree more, man. And I know every webinar, we usually have one or two people that will come in and say, listen, we know all that stuff. Just tell us the bottom line. How do we do it? And if it was that easy, you'd have been selling. So I thank you guys in advance for being willing to hear out over the past, at least you've got at least one of the 2 weeks we've already done, or you've gotten both. If you've gotten at least 1 week of our training, it's helpful. Type the training we're talking to you about, we could easily sell you because it works. It creates our revenue. It creates daily revenue, hourly revenue, monthly revenue. Got to learn how to take our time to show you it's helpful, and certainly don't want you to wait. So now that I got that out, we're gonna we're using slideshows, presentations, because there's some really great challenges here that happen. Hurt people verbal, whether they're on audio or video, or it hurts them in their written for the copywriting, even if it's email swipes or web copy, and it hurts them in the flow of the websites when it comes to selling. I'm going to talk about that a little bit because this struggle is one that we notice that is so very common. Whether you're new at internet marketing or new at your business, you've been doing it for years. What do you say, Junior? How's it going, man?
Hey,
Good game yesterday. I saw you guys. You won. So, now, a couple of things. Is this struggle being able to ask for this? I do. Here's what happened. Position they were in when things were really bad. But I hate to ask them to sell. What if they don't have the money? Right? I had one interview today where a guy says, you're gonna sell. It's selling for $37. Couldn't you just sell it for like 17 or 20? I said no. No, it's software. I'm not gonna devalue it to make you feel better. Maybe where you're coming from your position of finances, you can't sell things that way. You must always paint the value first and not rush to discuss the money. But you don't have to apologize for what it costs. You never do. And yes, if you're doing a good job at selling, people are going to curse at you like they do me. People are going to come back like they do to us and say, listen, hey, I looked at that a few weeks ago, and now it's monthly. What am I going to do? Well, guess what? You had enough time. You were told. How many email messages did you get that you finally opened one? And so this idea of selling, it's a huge problem. I see it to people that approach me in home business and network marketing trying to get me to do what they do. Having bad ears, what I mean by bad ears, you can't hear what the prospect is saying, and being afraid to talk about the money in its proper order, it's very expensive. And here's the way it looks. When people get to a website, sometimes the first thing they do is look for the money, but they can't get past all the values. They have to read through it. Then, of course, by the time they get to the money is do anybody remember the movie, Dwayne and Charles? You guys remember the movie Honey, I Shrunk the Kids? How many of you guys have ever heard, if you have children or something from years ago, there was a Disney movie called Honey, I Shrunk the Kids?
Yep, I remember it.
Right?
Loved it.
Yep.
Yes. Now, without Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, what's really interesting about it is the kids shrank. Most of these guys don't understand, Charles and Dwayne, that the money shrinks when you paint the value. The money shrinks if you paint the value verbally. The money shrinks if you paint the value in email messages. The money shrinks if you paint the value in web copy, emails. It doesn't matter how you're doing it, but the challenge I see most people have is, it's like, I did it, I said the same thing and nobody bought it from me, it must be bad. And what you have to get to, this idea, is you can't be afraid of it, but you must respect it. You can't be afraid of talking about money. And I know you are if you're having challenges with it. But what you have to do is have a great respect for it and put it in its proper place. Just like a person in ministry has to talk about the value that's being offered before they talk about making a donation. See, it's easier to make a donation to a nonprofit if you find out they're feeding hundreds of children and they're taking care of abused women and they're literally digging wells. It's easy to do. But if all you hear is someone say, pass the offering plate and give me money, it doesn't make sense. So, Charles, all of us have had these struggles when we started the cell and we got past it, right? And so maybe I'd like to start with you and talk about, hey, look, you see this because you join webinars all the time. You do it with people all the time with their own struggles, and usually they'll think it's the colors on their website that's making them not get sales. But curious, what have you seen, and why is this important to you? And I want these guys to also listen up, because I'm going to come back and ask you guys some questions. Go ahead, Charles.
Well, it's exactly important, because I think what you come to internet marketing thinking, or at least what you see practice, is you think that if I can just lower the price enough, then people will buy. I think that's sort of what's in our brain, because that's what we see, and there's more to it than that. What you're talking about is making sure that people understand that it's not just lowering the price. It's not just cutting the price. It's not just doing a fire sale. Yeah, people love fire sales, but really it's about the value. So I think for me, that was the biggest. That was I think about 7 years ago.
Yeah.
That was really the thing. Just understanding that it's not just cutting the price.
And you know what? You know what else is a big part of this thing? I know we're not going to be on long for today, but I think it's important people get this. You never even discuss price. You never even mention price on your sales page until all the value has been presented. People need to understand what they're getting, how much it's actually worth. People need to understand, if you're going to give them a discount, don't discount it down to nothing. Give them a discount to give them urgency to buy, but you don't need to devalue what you've got. So make sure you're discussing the value of your product or service before you ever mention the price. Because if you do it backwards, people aren't going to buy. If you tell someone, hey, this car is going to cost you $50,000, you're never going to want it. However, if they told you it was a Lamborghini for $50,000, now we're talking a different story because that car is worth about $500,000 and you're getting it for $50,000. So my point is this: make sure you discuss the value of the product before you ever get to the price.
Now,
and if you just become known as the low price person, the low price guy, then when you actually do have something and you have something of value, people are just going to wait you out until you drop the price because you're the low price guy. So the value is important.
It is. And also, just so you know, if you want everybody, you probably shouldn't be selling. You know, this idea of selling something doesn't mean you want everybody that has a checkbook. And I know it sounds a little crazy, but you should be okay when someone who doesn't like your pricing doesn't want to buy it from you. It's okay if they move on, because you're not selling a price. And the minute you get to that point where you are, you've helped devalue what you're offering. If you have to be apologetic in all of your actions about what you're doing. So here's the deal: if finances becomes the issue, you didn't do a good job at laying the value. Period. The other thing is, this is some of the danger in just grabbing swipes. Now we offer them, right? We do the best job we can, get email swipes written up to help our affiliates sell things. But you make a mistake if you don't edit email swipes to make it make sense for your subscribers from you. And here's where the value is. If your subscribers have never heard from you, no wonder you think traffic and leads is why you don't have money. The truth is, you've been painting value all year long or all month long to your subscribers if in fact you talk to them. Listen to me, if you talk to them, sometimes the value in the product that you didn't even start selling it that's going to sell in March, it comes now because they hear from you. When you talk to them about a unique tip that they can use in their marketing, when you're sending them an email or talking to them through a webinar or something, you have to get better at that because the value is not all tied up into that one product. There are some people I buy things from, Charles and Dwayne, the minute I know it's coming to market because of all the value they've given me in the other stuff. You want people to do that with you. You've got to stop only talking on the day you need something. You need a sale, so you send them something. But you don't talk to them about anything else. In fact, in many cases, some of you guys have never talked to your subscribers. You only use an email that someone else wrote. So they have no idea who you are. By the time you come out of the bag and start talking to them, guess what? Your value will be diminished and the price will grow. The price will be like asking them to buy a new $500,000 mortgage because the value has never been increased. The value has always been here. So you got an option. When value is this big and price is this big, people always buy. But when price is this big and value is this big, people rarely buy. And some of you guys put yourself in that spot. So here's the deal. You can lower prices to help with the scarcity. There's no problem with that. But that's not the reason people are buying. We've done all kinds. We've done dime sales. We've sold products where it's just the price. When you get there, that's what it costs. I think that's what we did with Webinar Fusion Pro. It's just what it costs. That's it. And it wasn't $17. It wasn't $7. It's okay. Because it's software. We're not going to take our software and make it worth nothing. So we're going to keep up at a decent range. And we opened it at $47. The point is that when it comes to launching your own product or selling someone else's, you guys have got to practice like you do at home. Some of you guys would never introduce your spouse as saying, yeah, oh, that's my husband, Gary. He sits on the couch and passes gas a lot. You'd never do that. Then you wouldn't say it to you about your wife. Oh, that's my wife. You know, I liked her older sister, but her dad wouldn't let me marry her, so I got her. You're not going to do that. You're going to paint the value. This is my lovely bride who, through the tough years, has put up with me. You're going to paint the value as you introduce. You guys don't treat your products that way. I don't know, get it. You're not going to introduce your kid, say this is my kid. Gets on my nerves, literally drives me and his mother wild. You don't do that. You speak and you burst with pride and you present the value. You have to use your marketing, use your selling the way you talk about everything else in life. If you ask Dwayne to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers, he's not going to say, oh, yeah, they didn't win last year, they didn't win the year before. He's not going to do that. He's going to tell you they got one of the best quarterbacks in the history of the game. He's going to tell you they have a receiver that has broken almost every possible record that's hit the market. He's going to, you guys have got to do a better job at presenting, because selling is certainly more than leads and traffic. And actually, I got to tell you, I'll go up against anyone who has both leads and traffic. I'll sell against you. I've been saying this for years. If you think that sales and traffic are where the transactions come from, you know, I think I beg to differ with you. I wish I was good at those things. Not. I wish I knew SEO. Don't. If you go to any page that I created, if you go look at the SEO stuff, you're lucky to see a title. My programmers might put that, but I'm just trying to tell you, those things are not bad, but you better master this thing of selling. 2016 is around the corner. It's around the corner. And the fact that you might take more pride when you describe your favorite martini, you describe your favorite beer. I don't drink that yuck. I love German beer. And you start to describe why, but you can't do it about your product. There's something wrong. Something we have to address. So Charles and Dwayne, I'm going to ask these guys something. I want someone to give us some of your major obstacles when it comes to this wall, when it comes to asking for the sale, whether you're writing it, or you're talking about the price. Give us one of your major obstacles so we can help you address it. Today, you see my sleeves are rolled up, guys. We're rolling up our sleeves. There's no slideshows. It's not going to be pretty and sexy. We want to get down to it with you. So before we let you go today, you got something to hold on to that you can apply. Because, you know, before personally, I think we've talked about this. Before we start talking about giving you a step-by-step process, you got to work with you. We talked about that last week. How to deal with the person you deal with in the mirror. We talked about in the first week about ask. You got to get to the point where you've got to learn to ask for what you want. It's amazing what you get when you ask for what you want. So, that being said, we're going to take some of you guys. What are some of the challenges you have right in the window? Is in a brief sentence. Don't give me any paragraphs. Anyone that writes an essay, I'm going to walk past it. No time for it. So, you go ahead and write that in. So the bottom line is, if you write an essay, I'm going to go right past it. We're going to zoom it. We're going to go right through it. Ask a question about your challenges with selling. A question. So while they're doing that, Dwayne and Charles, you know, we've seen all kinds. We've seen this selling from websites and done it, selling from emailing, selling face-to-face, selling through third party, right? And we know what people will experience. And the interesting thing is some of the best websites with great SEO have an anemic number of transactions that come through. Some of the people with the most enormous YouTube visitors, YouTube views, have great views and still actually some have anemic sale. That happened. We're hitting that. So here's one. I was hesitant to price my product because I didn't recognize the value to my customer. Right. And here's a good comment. Here's what I recommend to everyone. Hold up. Put the brakes on until you do know the value. We get now and because I don't know if I choose actually, and I'm very bad. I'm not very literate. Anyway, my reading comprehension when it comes to things are not that good. It's not that good. So sometimes I have to read over through a couple times, and a lot of times buying it first, that helps me a lot because I can try it and fool around with it. But knowing the value, once I see that value, I then write the none of the three of us. We never try and write an email if it doesn't make sense to us. We're not going to try, because when you do that, you're deceiving your list. You're telling them, go get this thing. I don't know what the heck it is, but you better get it. You don't want to be guilty of it. And so what we do is we say no, right, Charles?
That's right.
We say no, it doesn't make sense. So, but I don't know if you have anything to say about that. There are a lot of times we get products, if it doesn't make sense, you don't have to force it. If you don't know the value of it, try to find it out, buy the front end and see what it's about, or don't promote it. Go ahead, Junior.
No, yeah, you said it, man. It's very true. We don't promote everything, so you got to make sure it makes sense first.
Okay. My hands moving is making things a little choppy. I think it'll be better now. Okay. So forgive me for that, guys. So
and sometimes
the second half of that question and comment. Charles, are you talking?
Yeah, no, I was
to me?
just gonna say you got it. You got it right. And sometimes even when you offer the bonus, right? The bonus is not always the most important thing. I mean, it helps, but it really is, whether you put a bonus there or whether it's not, you really do have to do what Dwayne is talking about. Is you got to make sure that in their eyes, if you can look through that product and through their eyes and make sure the value is big to them, the way they're looking at it, then you increase your opportunities to get the sale.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So that's key. You guys are great. See, the value is so important. I know a lot of people want to go around it so they can see their first transaction. When you take your time and you make sure the value is there, you can actually see your first 10 transactions as opposed to your first one. So the other question and comment is actually true. You don't have to guess. If you have to guess at the value of it, then you probably, when you say guess at the value, we're not talking price. We're just talking value. How much value is there that writing web copy, email, or anything, or even talking about it yet? So get that out of the way first. Now, should the bonus also complement? Yes, in many cases it can, but it doesn't have to. You know, there are times I actually buy a product because the bonus that they're offering to me is worth as much or more, and sometimes it's related to something different. It's like, dang, I've been waiting for one of those, and I get it. I know it sounds crazy, but the bonus will do that. It's almost like, it's great if you're going to buy a shirt and they throw in cufflinks, right? But wouldn't it be interesting if you went to buy a shirt and they threw in like you've been dining at this new restaurant, they give you a $25 gift certificate for your favorite restaurant. It's a bonus. And so I personally don't have to have them line up. They don't have to match. It just has to have value. To offer a bonus that has no value, it's just the same thing. So you want to offer one that has value. In fact, one of the products I bought a few months ago, Charles, from Mario Brown, it included a pixel. It included a tracking pixel, right? I thought that was so cool. I'm not a guy that does traffic and SEO, but that one was cool. Picked it up, done it. So, good call. So, my man Jerry, with so many similar products on the market, sometimes there's no easy way. That's right. So you have to do that yourself. If you haven't looked, there's throughout just in 2015, if you count the number of Facebook products that have been created and introduced to the market, Facebook products, the amount of web videos, video products, web ranking, and videos. I know that we've only two ranking products thingies, and I think two Facebook trainings, because you can't say yes to all of them. We'd look through and decide to choose the best one. So many things. If everybody around is marketing shirts, don't you want to be the cufflink guy, or create hats. So there are times you have to distinguish. And anyway, Junior, anything on that?
Yeah, man. You just got to find your special angle, your USP, your unique selling proposition. That's how you differentiate yourself. You got to emphasize what's special about yours, or what the one you're promoting.
As you
Yeah,
guys may know, that makes it difficult with launching. We have a lot of products in our pipeline, but many things we don't launch because hey, it's been hit over the head a lot. So we're like, okay, we'll come back to that. We're going to add so many more unique things that give us that USP we want, and yet we'll come up with something that nobody else is doing or no one's introduced yet. So if you think back, when with any of our software products, one of the first things we did was we wanted to bring something that everybody isn't doing. So yes, we can do video ranking. We could do all those other things. So just be creative. And certainly as an affiliate, just make sure that if the last 2 weeks you've been promoting a Facebook training and someone comes to you and says, will you promote this? You're like, okay, I've done enough of these for now. I'll come back to it. It's okay. Some will, some won't, right? That's the way it goes. Comments, guys. Good comments. So as you hear this, understand value key. It's usually over element of the selling, the most overlooked or run past. So if you haven't noticed it, in our pages, before you get to payment button, you usually have to sit through a video and get through a lot of copy and imagery so you can see what it's about. We're releasing a product on Thursday or Friday of this week, and so many hours. People think you just slap a page up. I was talking to someone today about how quick you can put a page up and you can just put a button on it and let's go. There's so much more to it. There is a lot of thought process that goes to it. There's hours of video rendering and creating for it, and then there's the copywriting process that takes days and days and days for one page. For one page takes days and days and days of presenting the value, taking your time to make sure your value is there. Charles, it's underestimated. Everyone tells you if you get this product and start selling it, you're going to make money, but there's some work behind the scenes to ensure value that's essential so you can make the same money that anyone else would make with it.
Yeah, you talked about setting value with the people that you're emailing on a daily basis. And when you do that, and this is where it actually comes back to Helen's question, where you're talking about offering a bonus that complements the product. When you have value with people that you've been talking to, sometimes you don't need a bunch of bonuses. You just need something that they're going to find valuable. And if you've been talking to them, you offer them something that you have. Hey, you know what? I've been talking to you about this the last couple of months. I've got something here. If you all pick up this product, I'm going to give it to you. And that really speaks to everything that we've been talking about, which is you've been talking to them all along, establishing the value. They have value in what you've been talking about. Offer them something that you have, right? You don't have to go out and get a bunch of stuff. You just got to, again, make this thing more valuable as time goes on to them so that they make the buy.
Absolutely.
Well said. What I wanted to do, guys, I wanted to channel the remainder time into just I'd say 3 hot tips to practice. Start practicing tonight in their getting the value. Because everyone wants to talk about price. What's it going to cost? How much is? One guy said. Somebody told me today. Somebody said if they don't get the price for this, they're going to want a refund. Like I don't care. We're not chasing anybody's for prices. You gotta know what you have. So I want to show you this. I'm going to give you guys some hot tips. One of the things I used to do to practice with my list is to give them whatever I have, like Charles was talking about. And so in this case, I had to find out what I did well, and I gave it. So in my case, I would work with people on prospecting or maybe teaching them how to use their computer to log into it. And for a while, something my wife and I did, we just kind of we would send people the really great shortcuts to just using the website. If you can just look at what you already have, it's one way to keep your subscriber list engaged with you, getting your value. So when you do offer a product, sometimes they'll take their time to find out what it is, but they'll buy it first because you have shown yourself to be different from everyone else that's just selling something. Don't think that tonight Charles Harper doesn't have something to do with Mrs. Harper and the girls. But he's earmarked Monday night. Don't think that Dwayne Jr. doesn't have a baby, that he has an infant and a new wife that he needs to keep. That's why he takes breaks. If you guys see him, he's there. He might stop away to help with the baby or something. I want you to get this. But the true value comes in that we decided if we're going to do this right, we've got to support people with additional value. So sometimes we'll send out an email that gives you tips on certain things. There's webinars that goes throughout the week. Charles will do a few webinars. We do our Monday night webinar. We want to make sure that there's more for you in what you're doing.
Yep.
So we can have a relationship, not just a one-way where you're just buying and that's it.
Yeah.
You guys should look at what we're saying. The hot tip number 1, give people the good part of you. Whatever part that is, whatever that is.
Yep.
You might know how to cook and bake pies and cookies really good. Did you not think that the people you're selling to are people too? You could easily send out an email this week and say, here's something that makes it great for you and your family during the holidays. I just wanted to share it with you. For us, it makes a big difference. And with just milk, sugar, and or maybe some sugar substitute and some these other 2 products, you can have the most amazing cake, right? Boom, done. Maybe you know how to change the oil. And before your family takes a trip, you might want to send your subscriber list 5 tips on how to change the oil without even using a jack. Who knows? The value is huge.
Yeah, I got one thing. I saw one comment there. It's very true. So we said 3 hot tips. You said 1. I'm gonna do mine, and then Charles is gonna do his, and then we're gonna let you guys, get back to your night. But I think this is really important. So my hot tip is this: manage your email list. Make sure you're emailing every day, as we're talking about establishing that relationship and giving people value. Because when you give enough value, you don't have to even give a bonus. So somebody here mentioned that some other marketer doesn't give bonuses usually when he promotes products, and he still sells a lot. Bonuses aren't necessarily a must-have. If you're doing what you need to do, you don't have to have a bonus. I mean, I'm one of those people who doesn't even look at the bonuses when I buy, because I'm never going to open those big old PDF files or anything anyway. So
good comment.
Bonuses aren't a must. So if you're doing the right thing when you're emailing, the bonuses are not even a must. So I wouldn't get too crazy about bonus game if you can just master the art of emailing. So that's tip number 2. Doc, with the final tip before we sign off, what do you think?
Man, I mean, you all didn't leave me anything. I am gonna come back to the bonus. And because I agree with what Dwayne said, Dwayne Jr. said, which is sometimes you don't have to give the bonus. If you're going to do that, though, I wouldn't even say, like Dwayne Sr. said, it doesn't even have to always compliment. It's what it's gotta do for me. Really, it's gotta make me say, wow, okay, now I want it. So, because sometimes I will buy something because you gave me something that I wanted anyway. So what I would say to you is that whether or not it compliments or not, don't just throw something in there. Put something in and add it to, so that I say, oh, okay, now I want that, so I'm going to get it. Because like Dwayne Jr. said, there probably been 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Facebook products, right? So which one am I going to choose? I'm going to choose the one that makes me, you know what I mean? It's about me. So I'm going to choose the one that gives me what I want. So try to give people something that they want and not just throw in something just to have a bonus.
Well said, man. You guys heard it. Selling, I know people want you to think it's this big ambiguous thing that you have to attain one day when you finally reach 70. But to do it, you really have to be yourself and tap into value. You already use it when you're trying to convince someone on your favorite team or your favorite color, when you're trying to let someone see the home you love, my dream home, and you present the value so well, it makes me want to move in. You got to do that with your products. And if you can't, step back, learn more about it so you can. This is Dwayne Golden Sr., Dwayne Golden Jr., and Charles Harper tonight, sending you our love and attention during the holiday season. We don't want to keep you. You deserve to be with your families, but it's imperative that you master the art of selling, and it begins with each of you certainly presenting value. You guys have a great night. God bless you guys.
See you guys. Have a good night.